AITA for leaving my party for beating cancer? I, 35 male, am a very private person. I have no social media, don't want my wife, 32 female, posting photos of me. Although I don't tell her not to, just don't ask her to post me. Celebrating Father's Day or my birthday, I don't like attention on me and prefer to keep things low-key whenever I can. So, keeping that in mind, I was diagnosed with an extremely curable type of skin cancer. It was caught very early on, and I never felt scared for my life in any way, shape, or form. I'm an engineer and I think analytically and wasn't scared with a diagnosis with a 0.03% fatality rate. Still, I told my wife, of course, and she was terrified. We talked through it and told her my doctor was very optimistic and said we have caught it early on, etc. None of it seemed to help, but I tried. After a while, I told her that we shouldn't tell our kids, 5 female and 7 female. My wife wanted to tell them, but I was adamant about that. I'm not even sure they would understand what we're talking about. Reluctantly, she agreed not to. About a week later, I get a call from my dad, asking about my cancer. Turns out, my wife posted on FB about my cancer that morning. I called her and wasn't happy that she posted my business and his behind the "you didn't say I couldn't post it, just not to tell the kids" excuse. There is no way she would think I wanted that posted online, no matter what I said. So, she took it down and time went by. Very quickly, I was in remission with my skin cancer and my doctor told me, word for word, "We don't like to say you're cured, but you're cured." I told my wife and she was ecstatic. She told me she was worried all this time, I could tell, and glad we put this all behind us. I thought we could put this all behind us too. This weekend, I'm coming home on Friday. I see a lot of cars parked on the street, some in my driveway. I couldn't think of any birthdays or anniversaries I missed, but went in anyway. It was a party for my remission diagnosis. I was mortified at this. She's never done anything like this, and we've talked about how I would hate a surprise party multiple times. I asked what this is for. Said, "I'm sorry, but I didn't know you planned this. I'm just coming back for some files and heading back to work." It was a lie. I gathered up some meaningless files in my office and said thanks to everyone for coming and left to go back to my office, messing around on my phone until everyone left. My wife knew I was lying and we fought that night, and I told her I don't know what's gotten into her. But she knows I would never want this, and she doesn't get to make a big deal out of something personal I never wanted to be public in the first place. We've been cold this whole week, and my brother said I'm TA since I told him I just pretended to go to work. So, AITA for not wanting to celebrate beating my cancer? NTA, your wife completely disregarded your feelings re personal privacy. She should take down the FB post immediately and apologize for ambushing you with the party. On to story 2. AITA for refusing to switch seats on a plane with a couple who wanted to sit together? I, 32 female, recently flew for a work trip, and I specifically paid extra to book a window seat because I like to have a little privacy and enjoy looking out during the flight. Once I got settled in, a couple came up to me and asked if I would switch seats with one of them so they could sit together. The seat they wanted to switch me to was a middle seat further back, which I didn't want. I politely declined, explaining that I paid extra for my window seat. They seemed annoyed, saying it wouldn't be a big deal since the flight wasn't too long, and accused me of being inconsiderate for not helping them out. Later, the person sitting next to me suggested that I could have just switched to make it easier for them, and now I'm feeling a bit guilty. I paid for the seat I wanted, but maybe I was being too rigid? AITA for refusing to switch seats with the couple? Absolutely NTA. Their poor planning is not your emergency or issue to fix. You paid for the seat you wanted, you're 100% entitled to it, and decline any requests to switch, especially to a middle seat. Their entitlement was showing. On to story 3. AITA for correcting my half-siblings when they say their dad is my dad too. My 16 female parents are divorced. I was 3 when their marriage ended. They share custody 50-50 of me still. For as long as I can remember, Mom has always blamed Dad for it and said he cheated. My dad never said anything. He refuses to badmouth Mom. But I know he really dislikes her. My grandma, Dad's mom, told me Mom was the one who cheated, and she's the one who even got pregnant with someone else's child and had an abortion to try and conceal it. That Dad had asked her directly, and suddenly she was no longer pregnant. This was after me. I can't know the truth obviously, but I lean more in favor of my dad. The reason? My mom remarried when I was like 5 and she has tried so many times to push dad out and get her new husband in. She has lied to the kids she has with her husband and told them he's our dad, and when I go for a week, it's to some uncle and I mistakenly think he's my dad. So I have half-siblings who'll refer to my mom's husband as our dad, and they'll step in to correct me when I call him by his first name. I usually end up correcting them and around we go. I dislike my mom's husband. I think he really wants me to accept him and let him take over from dad, but he never stops to listen when I say I love my dad, and it upsets me when they talk shit about him. He always tells me I should have him instead of dad at Father's Day activities. This was worse when I was younger and that stuff was more there. He'd always try to get me to go to father/daughter dances with them, including purity ones, and he'd get annoyed when I'd say no. He'd tell me he put so much work into me and I should return the effort. My dad tried to get custody from the judge at my request. We were in court literally weeks ago. But the judge said I need to continue 50-50 until I'm 18, and if either parent attempts to prevent that, then the other will get full custody of me. So I'm stuck here, and my half-siblings, the older they get, the more annoying they are about correcting me, and then I correct them too. I told them the other day that their dad isn't my dad, and I don't even like their dad or love their dad. My mom heard, and she told me I need to stop correcting them, and they just love me so much they want me to be their full sister, and I'm being a bully to them, correcting them all the time. AITA? NTA. You would also not be the asshole to point out to your siblings that your mother was married to another man, your dad aka the uncle, at the point of your birth. So, if their dad is your father, that means that he is a homewrecker and your mum a cheater. Let's see your mum explain that to them.